job, Casey.
Thanks, John Fetterman.
Are there any limits on abortion you would find appropriate?
And maybe, just maybe, voters need to take a look at the senility of the candidates that they put into office. Another freeze from Mitch McConnell yesterday. John Fetterman has a new commercial out endorsing a Pennsylvania Senate candidate, the incumbent. It's hilarious. Also, abortion, apparently. We've been getting a lot of stuff wrong, according to Jen Psaki. Also, trolling or serious or ideologically impaired. You decide. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
Here we go! That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob. That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker that is completely and utterly cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Thursday, August 31st, the year of our Lord 2023, the last day of August. How about that? Where does the time go? It's almost September. We're almost done with 2023. Does anybody else feel like that just flew by? But a lot to get to today. Mitch McConnell, Senate minority? It's tied. So, the Republican Senate leader in the Senate had another freeze up yesterday that I'd like to play for you. Look, the caveat, again, like always, is nobody likes seeing this. And also, well, nobody likes seeing it on any side. I don't like seeing Mitch McConnell have issues like this. I don't like seeing Dianne Feinstein have issues like this, or John Fetterman, or Joe Biden. But at the same time, when these people have immense power, you probably should pay attention to it. I'm going to play you this clip. It's like 45 seconds of Mitch McConnell just kind of freezing up, and it is sad and also needs to be talked about because maybe voters should care about the senility of the candidates that they select to run the government. Watch this. We will discuss on the other side. Let me know what you think in the comment section, too, about term limits, because that's kind of the big thing that people generally lean on. I don't necessarily know if that's the big deal. So in the comment section, let me know what you think. Check this out.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
yes.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Penny.
Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
See, I don't know. I don't like seeing that at all. That's horribly sad. I don't want to see old people that I know and love go through that sort of thing. And also, the guy is the Republican Senate leader in the greatest, most powerful deliberative body of all the world. So maybe something to pay attention to. A bunch of people in the comment section, Marcel says something that I agree with. Yeah, it's just sad. Karen says 100% term limits. Wayne says term limits, team limits, but I think it's probably just a misspelling. Rob says somebody hit the pause button on his remote. Ray says glitchy Mitchy. Let's see. A bunch of people saying term limits. Now, here's the thing with the whole term limits thing. I don't disagree with term limits. That's not what I'm saying here. But what if somebody who just got into the Senate has cognitive issues? Will term limits solve that problem? The answer is no. We can talk about Feinstein, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, and term limits would affect. What did I say? Joe Biden? Geez, maybe you should have term limits on this show. Those people would be affected by term limits. They've been in office forever. And their cognitive decline seems obvious, especially in cases like this. Now, the issue I have with term limits, or at least the part of me that says this is not an ultimate fix, term limits, is when you get people like, holy cow, a bunch of people in the comment section just came in saying, yeah, term limits, term limits, term limits. A bunch of people saying term limits. Again, I don't disagree with term limits. However, what do you then do about people like this? This is John Fetterman's first time in office, first term in office. He got elected in 2022. And effectively, Republicans only had to win one freaking Senate seat. And they blew it. Conversation for a different time. But a lot of people talk about term limits being kind of the barrier or the stopgap between politicians being old and senile. I don't necessarily think that's entirely true. Again, not against term limits, but the reality is that the ultimate fix is voters and who they choose. People in Kentucky voted for Mitch McConnell, I believe in 2020. I think that was his last run. People in California voted for Dianne Feinstein. People around the country voted for Joe Biden. All knowing the cognitive decline / just the overall age. Now, term limits, I guess, in theory, would have stopped those people from getting in office. Maybe not Joe Biden, because the president is a different thing. But what do you do about this? John Fetterman, we don't need to play any of his crazy clips. This is kind of just a funny clip that I wanted to play because it's a different kind of topic. But John Fetterman, clearly having suffered a stroke, has a terrible cognitive decline, and it's sad. And also, the voters of Pennsylvania put him into office. And so that being said, term limits aren't the ultimate fix. Ultimately, it's the voters that put these people into office that need to either pay more attention or not vote. I don't know. I want you to watch this Fetterman clip before I get to another Fetterman thing that isn't necessarily Fetterman related, but I want you to just watch this. This is two senators, U.S. senators, trying to be relatable. John Fetterman, I guess, fortunately for his sake and his family's sake, doesn't seem too out of the loop cognitively, but from a relating to the everyday person. I want you to watch this and see if you think that these are two guys that you'd love to go hang out with. Check this out.
Hey, Bob Casey.
John Fetterman.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, last year you all helped elect John Fetterman to the United States Senate. I need your help in 2024. Please chip in whatever you can.
I'm telling you how serious it is that we make sure we keep Bob Casey in the Senate right now. Can you help chipping in a couple bucks to make sure we keep Bob Casey right here in this Senate right now? Bob Casey.
Thanks, John Fetterman.
That wasn't a display of the cognitive decline of the senator from Pennsylvania. That was more an example of, holy cow, are these people robots? Who talks like this? When I was with Charlie Kirk on, what was it, Friday? And we were filming some content stuff. I didn't go, hey, Charlie, conservative movement, Charlie Kirk. And he'd say, Jobob. No, like nobody talks like that. And so cognitive decline aside, I don't know, this is an indictment of Pennsylvania voters as a whole. But the real reason I wanted to talk about John Fetterman, somebody said they sounded like cheerleaders. Yeah. One of the real reasons I wanted to talk about John Fetterman, which one is it? Oh, here we go. Is this. John Fetterman just kind of comes up in this particular topic, but this is I don't know, sweeping topic of discussion in the United States of America. The abortion issue, that is. You've got the pro-choice side, the pro-life side, arguing back and forth over limits. What are the limits of abortion in the United States of America? Now, we've said on the show multiple times, the limit seems to be, the consensus of Americans is first trimester. So 12 weeks, anything after that, absolutely not. That's not me that's polling. Me specifically, I probably have more harsh is not the right term, strict guidelines to whether or not you can kill a child, which is no. But just overall, as Americans as a whole, the population, if you poll Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, all of them, first trimester, even though people might be uncomfortable with it, a lot of America, majority of America says, yeah. And then that's Republicans, Democrats, Independents. I think it's like 70% of Americans say first trimester, even though I might be uncomfortable with it, probably not. I mean, probably should be allowed. Second trimester and on. Second trimester polling, Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Independents all say, yeah, probably not. Third trimester, pretty much everybody says absolutely freaking not. About 20% of Americans think that you should be able to have an abortion at any time, which those 20% of people are severely unattached from reality, I think. Now, the interesting part about this is that I think a gaslighting operation is going on the lefty side of the aisle to combat the more conservative viewpoints on abortion in the country. And what I mean by that is, I want you to look at this tweet from Jen Psaki. It's been on the screen for a while in case you can't or haven't read it, where she says, no one supports abortion up until birth. Really? Now, I of course, I think Jen Psaki, if she is saying that I don't support abortion up until birth, I think she's absolutely right. Yeah, 100%. Now, again, we probably disagree on when the timeline is, when the limit is. But if she's saying up until the day of birth, you're not allowed to get an abortion, I agree with her. But to say that nobody believes that is just factually untrue. The hardest of the hardcore, I said there's about 20% that think you can get an abortion in the third trimester. About 20% of people actually do, and they are the ones driving the conversation. And what I want to use an example of that is this clip, who also John Fetterman coming up into play, where he is running for Senate in Pennsylvania not all that long ago. Watch this. It's a very short clip, but it kind of pushes back on the idea that Jen Psaki says that nobody supports abortion up until birth. Check it out.
Are there any limits on abortion you would find appropriate?
I don't believe so, no. I believe that is between a woman and her physician.
Okay. Bottom line, that's what it is. He did not clarify any further. And that is just one clip of several of lefties saying, oh yeah, I don't believe there's any limits. I don't believe there's any timelines. It's all fine. It's a woman's choice. Of course, that is not true. The polling, again, shows first trimester, Americans as a whole, left, right, center, say, second trimester, third trimester, they say absolutely not. But there is still a contingent of people that says, yeah, you can have it all the way up until birth. And Jen Psaki is here saying that that does not exist, which I believe is an attempt to gaslight the American people into thinking that, nobody thinks that, even though there is a substantial contingent that all supports one particular party. To kind of piggyback on this sort of stuff, there was a bill that didn't get through the California legislature, but I think it was last year, saying that I think conservatives made it a point of saying, well, you can get an abortion up to 2 days after birth, 72 hours after birth. Do I want to get into the clarifying of that? Honestly, not really. The bottom line is it did not pass because it was insane. It wasn't saying that you can, quote unquote, murder a kid. It wasn't saying that. It was saying if your kid happens to pass away, California is not going to investigate it, which to me is pretty anti-life, if you ask me about that. So again, to piggyback on the point that Jen Psaki is saying that nobody supports abortion up until birth is just factually inaccurate, and I think it's an attempt to gaslight the American people. Moving on to another thing that's not so horrible and terrible. I want to get to this. I'm curious. This is an ongoing thing that I see amongst so many different people and groups. And is it going to come on the screen? Are we having technical difficulties here, or is everything just stopped and stalling? Maybe it is. Maybe that's where we're at. Has the whole thing been like this? Glitchy and terrible? Has the whole show been Mitch McConnell-esque of just not functioning the way that it should? I don't know. Wow. Okay, now it's finally up there. I tweeted this out and asked the question, and this is a question that if you've been watching for a long time or listening for a long time, you've heard me talk about. I never know who is serious and who is trolling. Riley Gaines of swimming/women's sports fame posted something about Leah Thomas, the dude who was swimming against girls, and her whole situation, which is terrible. And like third trimester abortion, nobody agrees with except for a small contingent of crazy people. And Keith Olbermann, I'm curious if he is one of those crazy people or if he is just trolling the internet. In response to one of Riley Gaines' tweets, Keith Olbermann, talking about a female swimmer losing to a dude, said this: Can you just address the reality and move past? ? You sucked at swimming. That's why you lost. Now, in my never-ending quest to figure out if people are being serious or they're just trying to gain attention, I don't know where this fits. In the comment section, if you want to give me some sort of inkling of what you think is actually going on here, is this a deranged, crazy person? Because it really is. Like, look, I try to give grace in terms of what people say online. But if you say something like this and actually believe it, if you say that the reason that a woman lost to a man in a physical contest is because that woman sucks at that thing, you got a couple screws loose. So is it ideological blindness that drives people crazy, or is Keith snickering at home? Because this tweet got, I don't know how, 2 million views. Is he at home snickering on his living room couch saying, I got a bunch of people to pay attention to me? I don't know. And if you're out there thinking it's definitely the ideology blindness because nobody would tweet something that crazy just for the attention, I tell you this, having been in this industry for a little while, that definitely happens. People throw out crazy things to garner attention. And I think Keith has been known to do that sort of thing. So I always wonder what is actually going on here. And another one of those people that I think is interesting going on here, and sorry that I'm just bringing up tweets pretty, I guess, randomly and showing them on the screen, is because tweets like this, too. Is this a cry for attention, or does this person actually believe this? Jamel Hill, in response to Nikki Haley, well, okay, let me just set this up really quick. Nikki Haley, running for president, former governor of South Carolina and former UN ambassador, said in her presidential campaign, a vote for Joe Biden is really a vote for Kamala Harris. Now, that seems to just be true. I don't think Joe Biden's actually running. I think he's going to announce, probably in a couple weeks here, that he's not running for president because he is old and senile. But if he were to run for president, Nikki Haley stating that if a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris because he is old and will not be able to finish this term, let alone the next term, which is worse. Kamala Harris being the president of the United States. Now, someone named Jamel Hill, former sports reporter, took exception to that tweet and said the following. So part of the reason racism is such a terrible sickness in this country is because politicians like this know they can rally a certain base with the fear of, oh my God, a black woman might be the president if you don't vote for me. Then we all act surprised when the most hateful part of the base decides they need to act out on their feelings of hatred. Again, the assumption being that the only reason somebody wouldn't want President Kamala Harris is racism. That's the only reason. The only reason anybody would even consider not voting for Kamala Harris or wanting Kamala Harris to be put into office is because she is a black woman. which is a hilarious notion. And I can't tell if this is a serious comment or just a troll to get attention, because to actually believe this would make you so blinded to reality, it would be difficult to deal with you as a rational person. In this case, I do actually think she's being serious, which is unfortunate for people who try to make arguments based on a rational and logical standpoint. And the reason I think she's actually being serious. One thing that I would say to this particular individual is that I guarantee you, if Winsome Sears, the lieutenant governor, I believe, of Virginia, who happens to be a black woman immigrant, were the choice between Joe Biden and Winsome Sears from an ideological standpoint, for what the values she's running on, I guarantee you all of the people that you think wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a black woman would vote for Winsome Sears. Same thing with a lot of talented, tactful communicators who happen to be minorities, who happen to be women. So there's that. Again, the never-ending quest to figure out whether or not people are being serious or they're trolling for attention. Rhonda says she's being serious. She's not serious about anything. I don't know. Never quite understood that. Oh, Bill pointing out, I think, hey, Nikki Haley also is a minority woman. So, yeah, I guess that kind of crumbles that argument right at the onset. Norma says Trump should choose her. I think she's talking about Nikki Haley as her VP. Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice. I'll be honest with you. Show this morning was a little bit haphazardly put together because of, I don't know, baby waking up and having to I hate saying having to deal with her because it's not having to deal with her. I like dealing with her. But at the same time, timing on having to hold a screaming child was not great this morning. So again, kind of haphazardly put together, and I apologize for that. I will tell you, today was not the best show we've ever done here. And so with that, I'll wrap it up with this. Hate speech laws, which probably should have been kind of on the onset. This is freaking fascinating. Finland has some hate speech laws that are pretty interesting. Now, we mentioned yesterday and mention often on the show that hate speech is protected by the First Amendment. You're allowed to say, I hate this, I hate you, I hate that thing. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a great way to live your life, but it is protected under the United States Constitution, the First Amendment, and that doesn't include threatening people with any sort of physical violence. But nevertheless, a respected member, this is Fox News reporting, a respected member of Finland's parliament is set to reappear in court for the second time facing quote-unquote hate speech charges for a social media post citing Bible verses more than a year and a half after a district court dismissed her charges. Why do we care about what's going on in Finland politics? Well, it's because it very possibly could happen here if people try to continually force the overturning of certain parts of the Constitution. I'm hoping the Supreme Court would block any sort of thing that would attempt to do that sort. Jeez, wow, what a day. I think any of those rules that would say that something is quote-unquote hate speech, the Supreme Court would overrule, but this is what would happen if you didn't have the First Amendment in the Constitution. In February of 2022, a Helsinki district court unanimously dismissed the charges that, quote-unquote, instituted hate speech over this particular individual about their Christian beliefs. In 2019, the person in question, and the only reason I say the person in question is because I'm not even going to take an attempt at attempting to pronounce her name. In 2019, a tweet that she put out questioned her church's sponsorship of an LGBTQ pride event and linked to her Instagram post, which had a picture of Romans 1, verses 24, verses 27. And the bottom line is now she is being put on trial for quote-unquote hate speech because apparently questioning the sponsorship of an LGBTQ sponsorship, questioning the sponsorship of a church sponsoring the LGBTQ thing is hateful, so to speak. You know, this is a day. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Not the best thing. That's basically what's going on there, and that'll do it for us today. Not the brightest shining moment of this show, but we'll we'll cut our losses here and regroup and try again tomorrow. In the busyness of today, I will be on the Charlie Kirk Show from 11 to noon today, Pacific time. What is that? 2 to 3 Eastern time, the third hour of the fantastic Charlie Kirk Show, talking pop culture and all of the things going on in the realm of entertainment. So if you feel so inclined and you want to see if there's, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm exhausted. I need to go take a nap. I need to go drink some coffee. But you can see me there. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Abrupt ending to an otherwise disastrous morning show. Talk to you tomorrow. See you then. God bless America.